Daniel Seeger, born in 1935 in New York. While attending Queens College, he took a contemporary civilization course, which awakened within Daniel Seeger a fondness for the moral teachings of the likes of Tolstoy and Gandhi, and brought him ever closer to the religious community that would become a major part of his life. Dan Seeger wrote to the draft board saying that he was morally opposed to fighting in the war, but because he was a full-time student in Queens College and had a student deferment, or a 2S status, they did not reply. When he turned 21 and became a part-time student, he became part of the 1A group and was eligible for the military. He once again wrote to the draft board, and they replied to him with the 150 form, which is where the story begins.
Do you believe in a supreme being? What does that even matter? I'm writing a letter.
I do not believe that at the time of his actions, Mr. Daniel
Seeger
realized the repercussions that would occur and the immense results of his letter. I imagine he just thought he was being defiant and didn't realize a national court case would come out of his actions.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Justice Earl Warren of the Supreme Court, and today we're going to be reviewing the case of our fellow citizen, Mr. Daniel A. Seeger.
It's Seeger.
Anyways, so the Universal Military Training and Service Act established that all men in the United States to be drafted into going into war. However, there is an exemption to this act, and it's known as 6J for conscientious objectors. Now, for some of you, this term may sound like unfamiliar, so I'm just going to clarify this. And conscientious objectors were defined in 6J as persons who, by reason of their religious beliefs and training, are conscientiously opposed to participation in any war in any form. Now, religious training and belief, what we mean by that is it's for an individual's belief in relation to supreme being, but not including essentially political, sociological, or any philosophical views. Now, Mr. Seeger here.
It's Seeger. Seeger.
He was asked to be drafted into war, but he refused to go. He was claiming that he's a conscientious objector. Now, he was claiming that he's a conscientious objector because the exemption 6J is unconstitutional. And he was saying that it only allowed exemptions for people who believe in the supreme being. And he actually also thinks that it's a violation of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution as the right of free exercise of religious belief. Now, Mr. Seeger.
It's Seeger.
Why do you think that's true?
Well, Your Honor, I believe that this exemption should cover those who oppose war from a merely personal moral code, as well as those who decide that war is wrong on the basis of essentially political, sociological, or economic considerations in addition to a religious belief.
And here, actually, Your Honor, if you let me to do that, I will say something about that, like comment on my client and what he thinks in. So, instead of professing belief in supreme being, Mr. Seeger he has belief, and this is actually what he said earlier, which is a belief in goodness and virtue for their own sakes, and a religious faith in a purely ethical creed. And Your Honor, I think this is like, it's so obvious what he means, and I think he has right in this. And so, I mean, you can see like exactly what he means. It's so clear, it's so obvious. Thank you.
Yes, my conscientious objection is to be based upon individual training and belief, both of which included research in religious and cultural fields. And my skepticism or disbelief in the existence of God does not necessarily mean a lack of faith in anything whatsoever. Thank you, Your Honor.
So I think we pretty much like came to a decision here, but let me actually clarify something here. And this is like from the Supreme Court here. And so we found that a person can meet the requirements of being a conscientious objector, even if they have unorthodox spiritual beliefs, as long as those beliefs are fundamentally equivalent to a traditional belief in God. So now I'm going to actually read you the exact decision that we came up to, and this decision is, as a result, the United States Supreme Court is going to make a modification to the Universal Military Training and Service Act, and that's going to state that when applying for status as a conscientious objector, believers in non-traditional variances of monotheism are offered the same rights as people of traditional faiths. So that's pretty much everything, and I'm sorry for this being a long day, but I hope we're done, and this was like a really noticeable case, but we're glad that we came to a solution that satisfied both sides. Thank you very much for being here today, and have a good night. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This case is notable for being one of the few times that the U.S. Supreme Court has attempted to define the term religion in relation to the First Amendment. Though Mr. Daniel Seeger's case
Seeger
was successful, several years later during the Vietnam draft, many soldiers' cases were denied the same First Amendment rights as Mr. Seeger's.
Seeger.
Action.
Scarlet Bloom reporting here in front of the Supreme Courthouse out in D.C. Today, the U.S. versus Seeger Supreme Court case
Seeger
has just been finalized. We're waiting for Daniel Seeger now. Oh, there he is! Mr. Seeger! Mr. Seeger!
It's Seeger.
Oh, Mr. Seeger, how did it go?
It went well.
Yeah. So you guys won. What are you going to do now, Mr. Seeger?
I don't know. I have an interest in the Quakers. I think I might join them and see how that goes.
Like the Oaths?
No.
Oh, well, that's very good. So, the Quakers, so do you believe in God now?
I'm agnostic, so I don't know.
Good evening, everyone. Am I gonna say that or not?
That was good.
Can you do it again?
In his nose or something?
Can you do it again? The Seeger versus U.S.
It's Seeger.
Another.
Try.
It'll just take like 50 years. You're not filming this.
I'm just practicing.
Okay.
With the record off, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe in a supreme being? Why the hell does that matter?
Okay.
That doesn't work.
Didn't even go that deep.
That's what she said.
Hold on.
The
On
sound.
camera?
Yeah. And it's 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Good.
Okay.
I was really confused.
U.S.
No, hold on. It's all. So now, Mr. Seeger.
It's Seeger.
No, it's Seeger. So writing. Constitutional. I told you not to do that.
Okay, the mic is in the picture.
Goodness and virtue for the Mr. Seeger, he had a belief, and he still actually has this belief. I should have said he has a belief. And Mr. Seeger claimed that the exemption 6J.
Just say it.
It's Seeger.
We're getting doing his now. We'll keep doing his.
The application of the flag.
On sakes and the religious faith in a purely ethical creed. However, there is an exemption to. Sorry, I looked at the camera.